All right. So, hello, YouTube. I'm probably going to start my crop here. I just want to say real quick before people say, why the fuck is this guy wearing shades? Like, I literally can't see without shades. I've been overexposed to light. My eyes are fucking killing me. So, that is why I have shades. I'm not trying to Top Gun this shit. I literally, like, cannot see without them. Like, everything's blurry. My eyes hurt. I am going to see an eye doctor before anyone freaks out. So, yeah. Reacting to the developer Overwatch 2 live stream today. I'm curious what they're going to show us. I'm excited to finally be able to to be able to talk about it, and we'll see what they show. So yeah, let's 20 seconds. Hopefully it's good news, and yeah, here we go. Stop spamming Capmito chat. Stop. We're also live on my stream on YouTube at 10 or 11 a.m. EST every day. All right, moment of truth. Let's see what they got, boys.
Hello and welcome one and all. My name is Zoe Schwind and I have the utmost pleasure of hosting this Overwatch 2 developer live stream where we want to talk about the upcoming Overwatch 2 beta, the alpha, and the general approach to content as well as communication. And joining me to answer some of the many questions I know that we all have after the most recent developer update are no other than
Is the audio okay, guys, by the way?
Our game director, Jeff Goodman, lead hero designer, and John Spector, commercial leader. Thank you guys so much for, taking the time to chat with me today. I am just so excited to have you all on for this show. Now, last week, or the last weeks even, must have been pretty emotional for you guys and your teams as well. How are we feeling today?
Well, first, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, and for everyone that's watching for taking the time to watch. We're so excited to talk to everyone and to continue.
I will say I have been impressed with Aaron recently.
The team is really excited right now. It's been a long time since we've been able to talk about this, and it's been even longer since we've been in this position where we have people playing a development build of Overwatch. Like, people in the public are doing that right now, and it's so fun to watch. It's so great to interact with those people and hear all of the feedback that they have, and then all of the amazing conversations that it spurs on the team. It's just an exciting place to be in.
Yeah, I think exciting is putting it almost mildly. It's also, I always say, like, when the first time the public of any kind gets to see your game, it's almost more exciting when you actually ship it, because it's like the first interaction you get and the kind of feedback you're getting. And man, it's been a flurry of feedback. It's been great. We've been reacting pretty aggressively.
Yeah, I'm the new guy on this team now, having just moved over from Overwatch League a couple months ago. But I think just seeing what it's meant to a lot of the people on the team who have been working on this for years to now be able to show that to players, and we're a month and change away from being able to do that in the beta, has just been amazing. And for me personally, it's just so exciting to be here now and have the chance to talk a little bit more about what we're planning to do.
Well, I can't wait to chat about not only the announcements made during the developer update, but also, pick your brains about some first impressions regarding the Overwatch 2 alpha, which is up and running as we speak. But let's take a few steps back to find out how we actually got here in terms of release/schedule, I guess, with Overwatch 2. When and why did you guys decide to more or less split the game in two?
So that's a really good question. And it is something we have talked about a lot, especially recently and over the last year. And I think to like really put it in perspective, it's important to talk about two values that are core to development for Overwatch. And the first is to always be delivering regular content to the game and updating it and keeping it feeling fresh and exciting. And the second value, and I think that this is a value, it's not just an Overwatch value, it's a value that all of Blizzard shares, and it's to release a game when we feel like it's ready, and when we feel like it's great.
That's completely fair.
You take those two values, and then in light of the team kind of choosing this strategy to focus on Overwatch 2, and to put a lot of resources into the campaign and the hero mode for that side of the game, it left the live service with less focus, and by doing that, it put us in like this really difficult position. So we could either be, and it put us in a difficult position because like those two sides of the game were now like tied together. So like Overwatch live support was now tied to
Gotta respect the honesty.
development on Overwatch 2 systems and features. And that's it's a difficult spot to be in, because suddenly you have like these two core values that aren't aligning with each other anymore. Is it like, hey, let's just get Overwatch 2 out as fast as we possibly can?
You think Jeff Goodman might surprise you guys?
Supporting the live game some more, but before we actually think it's ready, that it goes against everything that I think Blizzard stands for, or is it, hey, let's keep working on Overwatch 2 and release everything when we think it's great, and have this gap stretch on longer and longer, and we couldn't do that. So in essence, us kind of like splitting both sides of the game from each other is a way for us to start addressing this problem. I love this company. There's like so many talented people here. I've been working here almost 20 years, and one of the reasons that I'm here is because I feel like when Blizzard releases a game, it's going to be great. It's going to be amazing.
Very true.
And that it's also going to have a high level of support to it. And so I think pulling these two parts of the game away from each other is our way of addressing all of that, keeping those core values at the same time, and still being able to deliver an amazing experience for Overwatch 2.
Yeah, and I think the feedback to that strategic move has been overarchingly very, very positive. I know we're all so excited to see everything which has been shared from you guys last week, but there has been a big communication drought in Overwatch in the past.
Here we go.
So how will your team ensure that things will be different now? Like, how frequent should or can we actually expect some meaningful communication updates heading our way?
Yeah, it's not an excuse, but it's sort of more of an explanation. I think part of the reason why we didn't do as good of a job over the last several months in communicating as we wanted to was, as we were sort of making this shift in strategy that Aaron just talked about, it's sort of challenging to talk about that until you figured out exactly how we were going to land that plan, our ability to deliver against it, and all of those things. And so I think the whole team understands that collectively we needed to do a better job. And going forward, we need to do a better job of communicating with our players. We made that renewed promise in the update that Aaron shared last week. And I think there's still some skepticism, right? Of, well, they've said this before. Do you actually mean it this time? Our hope is that we're here a week later, coming back and talking to players again, sharing more information, talking about how the alpha's going, all of that stuff, really in that spirit of, we made that promise, we intend to keep it. And even going forward, as we look toward our first beta test, our goal really is, even between now and then, to be coming out regularly with more information about what players can expect there, and continuing to respond to questions where we can. So we know that we need to prove it. I think this is hopefully a good first step in that direction, but we have work to do there.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. Trust building
John's great, by the way. He's
on
awesome.
The right track right here. I'm so glad that all three of you are joining me for a chat today. Now, we did also hear a commitment to delivering more content, but that leaves some people a little bit worried, a little bit scared with the question: has the team grown to a point where it is suddenly able to actually, support that increase in content?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to talk about. The original Overwatch team, when the game shipped, it was like between 60 or 70 people, and it was really small. And we did quickly start growing as we started adding more features to the game. But we're talking about a much bigger experience now. And we're talking about adding a lot more content to the game than than we have in the past, especially the past few years. And to do it just takes more people, you know. And so we have been growing, we have been expanding. We're over 200 people now, and we're going to continue to grow on top of that. And we're working on a new big thing, right? And we talk about Overwatch 2 a lot, but like I kind of feel like we have the Overwatch team 2.0 as well. It's this collection of like amazingly talented individuals that all had a love for Blizzard and a love for Overwatch, and a desire to come and help create more things for this game. And we are so lucky to have all of them.
I like Aaron, guys.
At the same time,
I like Aaron.
We've still have like this amazing core of people, you know, that helped ship the
No
first
one cares show
Like,
game. Come on,
the
guys.
directors
Give them a
on
chance.
Our team, or most of them, were all there for the inception of the original game. We have like multiple designers on this team that have all been at Blizzard for over 20 years and including Jeff Goodman, and bring like this incredible amount of sort of like experience and knowledge of the game with them. And so yeah, so the team is growing, and it's important for us.
They have to prove it, yeah, but let them talk. You gotta give them a chance.
We want to be able to support the game as much as we possibly can.
If you don't give them a chance, that's on you.
There's certainly no lack of talent on this team or any team at Blizzard, really. And I can see our chat is also complimenting our ability to stare into the camera. We're very good at that. What can you say? Like the deadpan stares.
Like, what do y'all want them to do? They're looking at the camera on a major announcement. Like they're not supposed to be like
saying life service earlier. This is something we hear you guys mention quite a bit in the past as well. But what does
I know you guys don't care for good reason. For good reason. You're right.
To Overwatch itself.
I want to see gameplay too.
Yeah. So live service, I get that it's sort of like an industry label or an industry term, and the way that
don't complain about no communication, then when you get it, be mad.
Is more of Overwatch being a living game, and I think there's a bunch of components to that. So we want the game to feel like it has like a regular heartbeat to it, and some of that just comes with regular updates to the game, and we want people to be able to like expect more content coming, and even a lot of times expect the type of content that's going to be coming to the game. And when we do that and we do it right, I feel like it is always keeping the game fresh, and it's also like changing the game. So especially like different types of things that we release, you know, from like new maps to new game modes, and especially new heroes, things like that actually change the way that the game is played on a fundamental level sometimes. And I think that's really exciting for players. And this isn't quite answering the question, but to even talk about the past a little bit, like when we kind of like pulled some of our pulled focus away from Overwatch 1 as we were developing Overwatch 2, we stopped releasing heroes to the game. And there was this consensus that Overwatch was maybe in one of the best balance places that it had ever been in, but people still wanted there to be changes to the game. And when we make like balance changes to the game or any type of change, we always want that to be something that's elevating the game and making it better. And we're in like this really awkward position of like, well, the game's in like a really great spot, but people want changes to it. And when you think about further back in the past, when we were releasing more heroes to the game, that wasn't really the problem. The meta was always changing. There was always like different strategies that were happening because there was just enough being added to the game that it felt like this living experience and this thing that people would react to.
That is not what you need to be saying right now.
Too. Like if you
it's
think
all right.
about
it's
some
all
of the
right. What's
features
done
that
is
we've
done.
released,
It doesn't matter.
Since launch of the game, like right after we launched, we released the
sorry, my eyes hurt really bad. That's why I have these on.
We released the arcade and crossplay. All of those things kind of change the way people think about and play the game. And so part of like a living game and a living experience is to continually be releasing that content.
Missing the point there. Like it's all right. We'll chalk that one. It happens.
Like the last part
happens.
about that is we always want the game to have a connection to the real world. and to kind of reflect.
Do not defend that October patch. Don't defend that shit.
Actually, on Earth, and that people are able to relate to a lot of the different heroes and locations that we have there. But we also like to update it with things like a Halloween event or a Lunar New Year event.
He's not wrong, but how they did it was bad.
Parts of our
that's people's problem.
Experiences, and so like continuing to add
that ship sailed. We don't care.
Pieces of content like that,
we look
and
forward.
Updating those is all part of a living game, or like our interpretation of what a live service game is.
Okay, I am not happy about bringing up to October 2020. That is salt in the wound there. It just
years of my life.
That is done. We should have just let that go. We should have just let that one go.
No, I want to shift gears.
Like, that shit does not matter.
As well as the upcoming beta.
That's a little salt in the wound. I'm not gonna lie.
Running the beta just on the horizon. What are your main goals for the alpha as well as the beta? What kind of performance benchmarks, I guess, did your team set yourself?
Now, here's what actually matters. We don't care about the past. We are forward-looking.
Me and my team, we're very focused on hero balance. I like that Aaron just said the game was perfectly balanced a little bit ago. That's that went over really well. The alpha's not quite that way yet, I will say. But, we made a ton of changes, so
we should have just let that one go.
Certainly 5v5 and a bunch of reworks and stuff has just caused like mass chaos. And especially because we're in a place where we've played the game ourselves for a long time now, and we have our own sort of internal meta, which is always very different than the external meta, especially when the game hasn't been out. So it sort of like pretty quickly got a lot of feedback about a lot of stuff that was pretty overpowered. So we
it's all right. Hey man, it's just a joke. It's all good. It's just not in the best taste. It's all right, guys. I wouldn't freak out about it, y'all.
I think that
it's all good. They're doing the right thing here. They're doing the right thing here.
Now that other people are playing it, and Jeff was alluding to it, but there's also like a lot of different skill levels that are in the alpha too.
They are doing the right thing, guys.
We don't have Overwatch League players on the development team, and so to be able to see the way that they play the game is fascinating. It's almost like we get two sets of feedback sometimes, or a spectrum of feedback for our game, because it plays pretty differently between like mid skills to high skills, and then like that upper echelon of skill that's there.
We do know this, yeah.
Think about the aim, like, and the precision that some of these people play with. It really affects some of the like decisions and the way that we think about the game. And so like it's great to get all of the feedback, but it's also nice to get like a new perspective from people as well. And it's something that we're not really able to get on the team, and now we're able to get as we're watching like a whole new set of players jump into the game, and it's really helping us fine tune some of the balance pieces that we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, with actually all due respect to my colleagues on the dev team, like playing against Jake on the alpha is a different experience. That happened to me like 3 matches in a row the other night. Thanks, Jake. And it's like there's some of that's really helpful, I think, particularly for the folks on the design side of things. There's also a bunch of like less kind of cool goals for the alpha and the upcoming beta of like stability and testing servers and matchmaking systems, and there's a whole bunch of things where changing systems under the hood like we have, and moving to 5v5 and what impact does that have on our queue times and how we do matchmaking and all of those types of things, where it's sort of a little bit less like in your face as a player than, hey, there's a new hero, or we've reworked some of the other heroes or changed balance, but it's also really important for our team.
Yeah, I guess the more data points you can collect from every angle, the better the end result will be. Now, of course, also the more feedback you get, the more comprehensive.
Did you play Alpha Sam? I cannot answer that.
So I do wonder, how are people actually chosen?
I am on NDA, but I can't actually answer questions.
Who should come in to give you feedback and who shouldn't?
Yeah, so for the alpha,
does not mean yes. It means I can't answer.
The vast majority of players in there are actually our fellow Blizzard employees. And then we have this group of Overwatch League pros. basically some of like our family members, like my little brothers in the alpha. And I think for a lot of the members of the dev team, being able to invite in even just one or two of their friends is really cool. And then there's a small handful of others, but it really is this pretty tight group. And again, the spirit of the alpha is to go from just a couple hundred of us testing up to several thousand people when you include Blizzard employees in there, and really to be able to then get enough feedback over this period where by the time that we launch the beta, we've had the opportunity to take a couple of passes at addressing bugs and other types of things like that, some balance changes that we can talk more about, that type of stuff. For the beta, honestly, we've been blown away by just the enthusiasm for
Thanks
it.
to sub, bro.
I think I speak on behalf of all of the poor people on our server and website team. They were prepared too, and it still crashed the server. So we've just been, honestly, all of us, I think, humbled and genuinely feeling really grateful seeing the positive response to that. I think later today or in a little bit, we're actually going to be able to update the beta sign-up site with an FAQ for players that talks a little bit more about how we plan to select players in the beta, what that process will look like. But our goal, I think,
Almost like we've been waiting 2 years,
is to bring in players in a broad range of skill levels, a broad range of regions, different system configurations, like some people with the new graphics card and some people without, and those types of things. Just again, in that spirit of having a broad and representative test as we continue to roll out this content and get a chance for players to get their hands on it and for our team to get all of that feedback.
Yeah, no surprises at all that the website crashed. So you're trying to be prepared, but just can't be. Just never be prepared for that. Now you said broad spectrum. I saw some people in chat asking already, and obviously all over the internet, console players. Will they be able to get their hands on the beta as well? Will they have a chance to try it out before it goes live?
So for this first beta, we are keeping it to PC only. But while I can't really get into the details of it now, like, we do want to include console players at a future point in our beta testing program, and we're working toward doing that.
Sorry, console players.
All right. Well, that's good to know. There you have it, console players. You're welcome. We know that our players, our pro players,
Sorry, guys.
are currently wilding out in the alpha. Can you speak to what the
It's not Blizzard's fault, by the way. That is more so Microsoft and Sony.
Helpful or even eye-opening, that kind of feedback from that pro level?
So if you are a console player, do not be mad at Blizzard. It is not their fault.
Like surprising, and in some ways it hasn't, I guess. I'm really happy at just the amount of feedback we're getting. It's just been great. It's sort of, we have these channels open to communication. There's like a flood of information. I'm kind of disseminating it to my team. We're deciding what to do all the time, but it's been really amazing.
I mean, I hope there's going to be gameplay.
The reworks, and they pretty quickly called out things that were kind of overpowered that we were worried about. So I guess that's good and bad. Obviously Sojourn's in there, and she's kind of based on this railgun. So, I mean, that's a hyper accurate, high damage weapon. Obviously the pros are going to be pretty good with that. So, something we were worried about, and it pretty much immediately came to light. So, originally when we were looking at this alpha, we weren't sure how many times we were going to be able to update it. We thought maybe we would just be able to, put it out there and gather a lot of feedback and then maybe move on to beta. But pretty quickly we were just like, okay, we need to patch. We need to make updates to this. We need to respond. We need to iterate. So we've actually been able to do that. I think we just had our first big balance patch today, actually. So we're able to sort of gather that feedback and iterate. It's been amazing, and it's really helpful for sort of to get that new, fresh eyes on everything, especially the pros, and seeing what comes out of it.
Yeah, and there's been some really interesting pieces of feedback too, and from the dev team, and even from a lot of the people that are playing in the alpha right now, there's so much positive feedback. A lot of it even around 5v5, where it feels like there's the pace of the game. It's not crazy fast, but it's sped up a little bit. They're getting stuck at chokes, especially behind something like a double barrier, less than they were before.
My game was open. Sorry.
There's more space to move around the map. And then a lot of times, you'll look at some of the Overwatch League players, And there's some of that's happening, but it's at like a different level. So when there's only one tank, and when there's a lot less CC out on the battlefield, because that's some of the changes that we've made here also. Sometimes like a tracer can get into the back line and just wreak havoc because it doesn't feel like there's as much that supports can do. There's not like an off tank that's peeling. There's not other like members of the team that can like sort of like counter some of the abilities that these people have. So like you'll see some of the heroes that we have, especially some of the flanking heroes like Tracer and Reaper,
shut up, Marcel.
are now like really dangerous back there. And we started getting support that's like, hey, it feels like, or we started getting feedback that it feels like our support heroes are unsupported, you know, and that it's just that they need some work there. And we think that feedback's right. And so we're looking into it, and we're hoping to like preserve all of the things that we think make 5v5 great, but also be able to kind of cater it to this high skill audience, and kind of merge all of that together.
So how do you look into that kind of stuff? Like, what does the process for feedback when it comes to balance changes or concerns, especially? How does that process look like?
I mean, like usual, we get a lot of feedback from a lot of different sources, but we do have like a main channel of feedback where we get kind of.
I don't know if there's going to be gameplay, actually. I have no idea. I hope there is.
A lot of it's looking at different people's perspectives and how they're playing it and trying to get context. I mean, we're in direct communication with people. It's not just like a one-way street where they're just sending us stuff. A lot of times we're asking questions about how they're playing it or what maps they're playing on and stuff like that to sort of get better context. But a lot of the stuff that Aaron mentioned is sort of been consistent feedback. For example, that supports feel like they're just really hard to survive. Basically, they're just getting dove on. The meta is really, really fast, for better or for worse. We knew it would be faster, that's for sure, but it's definitely kind of this like super dive right now almost. So, I mean, that's something we have this opportunity now to make these changes and iterate on the game and make sure it's in a place where, everyone's going to be happy with it.
Right on. Well, I do wonder how frequent the bug fixes are currently in the alpha. Or I guess what I'm asking, what does the turnaround time from feedback
thanks for the sub, man. And Jose, thanks for the sub. Welcome to the channel.
I mean, it sort of depends. We actually had technically, like I said, we had the first patch today, but actually that's not even really true. We had a really small patch, I think, on Monday. So we've been able to patch.
Gotta love the transparency from Goodman, I gotta say. It's nice to hear him.
Pretty nice. But yeah,
give him credit,
a
chat.
lot of it depends on not necessarily sort of the tech side and how often we could patch and sort of QA things. A lot of it's sort of getting the feedback and discussing it and talking about what we want to do and how crazy do we want to try things. Sometimes it's we're trying we have a patch or two to try really, really crazy things, and if we tiptoe and try to make small changes, maybe we won't get anywhere useful. But if we make like a big change that you think is maybe even too strong,
Samito has more information than you do.
That's more sort of powerful feedback that you can combine with other feedback, and you can get a lot
Samito
more.
can see the future.
Get at the changes you really need.
No, I'm just kidding. I really don't know much, but it's just so nice to actually see them talk.
Wild stuff today. We'll see how.
Like this is the first time like they've sat down and talked about it. It's really nice to just listen,
sort
man.
Of trying to get at it and how in my opinion, I just want to make changes as much as possible because iteration
really
is
nice
really
to just hear them talk.
we really get at like, the real good balance and where the fun really is.
You guys know me. I'm always honest.
We also have this there's the balance changes, and then again there's like quality of life. Making one of the goals of the alpha, right, is that by the time we get to the beta, we've addressed some of the bugs that people are talking about that have impacted their experience. And our QA team has been doing an amazing job of like logging literally everything, and then it's sort of a like, how important is this thing to fix tomorrow? And some of the bugs are just like downright funny. I actually sort of wish we hadn't fixed some of them. Someone reported like Winston was too wide to fit through a door on our new map, Circuit Royale. That got fixed. So I think by the time that people get to see that map in beta, in fact, Winston will fit through the door.
Almighty
there's like
push!
A bunch of that stuff.
I got a Renegon, chat.
A couple hundred people testing.
That's why I have sunglasses on.
Catch, and we've multiple times already.
No, I actually can't see without these on right now. My eyes would hurt so bad.
Things like that are a little more quality of life.
It's definitely chaotic.
Go ahead.
I was just comment on that. It's definitely chaotic to try to get, me and my team trying to get these balance changes in and test. We usually try to run some internal tests too to make sure we're not doing something like really broken. And then of course QA, we're getting bug fixes from the tech side and everything. We're trying to like corral everything into one patch really quickly as fast as possible at the end. So it's
Aaron Keller is the boss man. Yep.
But I think we're getting there.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with bugs. We're trying to hit all of the most egregious ones first. So we were able to jump on that Winston issue immediately, but there's, or we were missing all of Sojourn's VO lines in the alpha. We didn't know when she ulted, she was just like this silent hero on the field. And people started saying like, oh, I think her ult line, it's like too quiet. I'm not really hearing it. And other people are like, I don't think I hear it at all. And we investigated it. And this was maybe like an hour into the alpha launching. It's like, oh, whoops, they're all missing. And we're even getting feedback even down to like really small things like, hey, the particle effects on this fountain aren't coming out of like the person's mouth. They're coming out of like their forehead.
Well, guys, they've given actual news.
Screenshots and movies.
They've talked about the meta, how the game feels. That's all very important information.
That's good.
That's all very important information. Let's be fair here. Let's be fair here. Come on.
Is this a feature or a bug? Like, is this
like the game tempo is incredibly important.
Actually, something I should be reporting. Now, obviously, it's still early days in the alpha, but have there been any surprising revelations so far regarding the new content which is featured in the alpha? Looking at the new game mode push, for example, or some of the hero rewards.
Like Dive? Dive has been better than whatever the fuck it is now. So,
there's definitely been a lot of surprises on the hero side. I mean, there's some stuff that. I mean, this is like the opposite of answering your question, sort of, but it's in some ways where I was really happy to see some confirmation too, because we had been playing internally for a long time, and like I said, our internal meta is obviously
Alex,
very
thanks for the sub, and Volt Pimp Gaming, thanks for the sub, dude. Welcome to the channel.
Are always super confident in it, but we heard a lot of concerns when we talked about 5v5 originally that only main tanks were going to really be viable, probably like Reinhardt. Like, how do you not play Reinhardt in that situation, for example, or something? And internally we were like, man, it really kind of feels like the opposite. Like, we're a little worried for Reinhardt, and we're a little like feeling like Diva and Zarya and are really strong. And so we just sort of like, well, I guess we'll see what happens when we put this in other people's hands. And that that's one example where it turned out that pretty much they agree that Reinhardt's maybe a little weak, and sort of the off tanks are actually kind of running the show right now. So that, I mean,
especially Doomfist.
Yeah, right.
You should talk about Doomfist a little bit.
Yeah.
He is strong.
So Doomfist, probably one of the bigger reworks certainly is switch roles, so that he's a tank now. So that's it's really been super interesting getting feedback on that, because we haven't done that very often. Technically not the first time. Symmetra used to be support originally, way back in the day. But so yeah, Doomfist has been generally extremely positive hearing that, getting the feedback from him. And I was really scared to see what kind of feedback we're going to get, because it's so different. He's a little strong right now, so I don't know how much of the super positive feedback is coming from how strong he is, but I was really worried about him in particular, because there are certain heroes in our game that have a really strong sort of feel to them that if you play a lot, you sort of get attached to, and it's really hard to distance yourself from that, especially heroes like Tracer and Genji and Doomfist, like the high mobile heroes like that. So Doofus is definitely one of those. They have the dedicated fan base, but from what we've gotten feedback on so far from the dedicated Doofus players that we have, they're generally really excited for it, and they're really happy even with the role change. So I've been really happy about that. We have to nerf him a little bit, but like everything else.
Oh, but yeah,
someday I want to find out how these changes happen. Like, someday a diff shows up and he often is like, how about he's a tank now?
Yeah, well, I mean, to speak to that actually is to kind of why it went that way. I think it's interesting. Part of one of the major sort of overarching changes we were trying to get at for the combat of the game is to just reduce crowd control effects a lot, so a lot less stuns, especially hard.
Chat, why are you guys looking at me? Shut the fuck up! Why didn't? What?
We're looking at May, and we changed how May's freeze work. It only works on our ult now and stuff like that. And those are kind of like low-hanging fruit things that we can change. And then it comes to a hero like Doomfist. You're like, well, what do we do? This guy's sort of built on crowd control. I'm not sus.
You're sus.
So we either needed to basically go in there and change probably a lot of his kit, or like really reduce crowd control on how he functioned, which is hard, sort of a combo-based hero, or move into a tank role. And the tanks are where we're kind of allowing the crowd control and the hard crowd control to exist, so we could sort of maintain a lot of this feel and his kit in that role.
Stop.
And so that's kind of what we ended up going with, and it worked out really well. So, but as Aaron mentioned earlier, it has led to some scary issues with heroes that we knew were going to be maybe problematic because they're kept in check by crowd control, like Tracer, Genji, Reaper. So we had some plans to, had some things in place to sort of reduce their power, but it clearly wasn't enough. So we're still working on that.
Yeah, it's been like really interesting to watch a lot of that too, and like Doomfist in particular, like he kind of illustrates the way we've been trying to handle the CC abilities in game, is by moving them, as many of them, into the tank role as we can, and part of that is because it kind of, because there's only one tank on the battlefield now, it reduces how many are out there, and also like. For tank players, we would get feedback that sometimes it just felt like you were in a pinball machine, as you're on the front line and you're getting hit by the crowd control abilities of like all 6 heroes, on the enemy team. And so it just kind of helps for us to center them there. And so like it made a lot of sense to move Doomfist that way. But at the same time, like he was like such a fast hero that he could be all over the place sometimes, and so like we did a little bit to slow him down. He's still very mobile, like there's been a change to his kit, and we'll go into like more details of like the change to his kit and to Riss's kit later. But like at this point, like he basically has a leap that's similar to a Winston's leap to get in, and so like his ability to initiate some of these fights is actually pretty amazing, and also like the cause of some of the issues that he has, like imagine a Doomfist that's able to get in, is more survivable than he used to be, and also has like the ultimate escape to kind of pop out of combat. So we're kind of
does do a lot less damage though.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. Right. So so don't imagine that.
You're scaring people.
I mean, honestly, like it's also always depends on who's playing that Doomfist. If I'm playing the Doomfist on your server, you have nothing to be worried about. I'm leaping in there, and then I'm just kind of and now.
I mean, that is
there's that. Now, I want to talk about another brand new feature, which has not been getting quite as much spotlight so far, which is the ping system. I personally love it. But I would love to hear your thoughts on the process, why you felt it was necessary to be added. Like, what were you hoping to improve?
Watching that. I'm trying to watch the chat.
Yeah, so the ping system has actually been great, and I agree with you. There's moments there where it feels like it changes the way you play the game.
You guys are weird, man.
The game.
Greetings.
And there's a lot of reasons to do a system like this. Not everybody wants to communicate
whatever, chat. I don't care what you say.
Voice comm. And
Greetings.
Our game's obviously too fast to be able to strategize over like in-game chat. Like that's obviously not going to work. And then a ping system also, a lot of
ping system's gonna be great,
even than voice can be, because it.
I was the one who actually had that story break because I asked Jeff Kaplan at BlizzCon 2019.
In-game real world locations.
Wellington, thanks for the sub. Here, thanks for the sub.
Like
appreciate it, guys. Welcome.
Context too. And so like to talk about that a little more, like. The ping system that we're doing, it's very context sensitive. So depending on what you're pinging, who your hero is, who like what the other enemy team is, can change a lot of those things. So like some of like the really cool things in it are enemy players behind walls can't be pinged. You can't see them. But if they're revealed by Hanzo or Widowmaker, suddenly you can start pinging those.
That's
targets.
Good. That's really good.
Or some heroes can actually remove pings from themselves. So like when Moira fades, removes ping on her. She just used an escape on it. You can ping non-heroes in the game, like Bob. And also it's like totally customizable.
Wait, is Aaron saying Bob's not a hero? How dare you? Bob's my hero.
Kind of similar to the comms wheel, where you can select the different pings that are more important to you. So you don't always have to use the context sensitive.
Be better.
You can use all sorts of other different ones, and so that's kind of like some of the reasoning behind it, some of the features that are in there, but we've also gotten like a lot of like really great feedback on the ping system, even just
robophobic.
The ping wheel needs to be more responsive. Just like clicking the world needs to be more responsive. So we're working on that. We also realize it's not quite noticeable enough. And what we have in there is kind of our first pass on it, but we're going to start kind of like getting more on like the visuals and the sound side of it. We're looking at more context aware features. There's like a really great suggestion
Samito's gimmick. The
one
shades.
of our content creators.
I have the shades on because my eyes have been overexposed to light. I can't see without them. Like I'd have to have them closed. They hurt too bad.
For a support character, for them to actually have unique VO lines depending upon which support character is pinging. So like right now, if you're support and you ping, it'll say something like, come to me for healing. But wouldn't it be great if it was Anna and she said something like, get in line of sight so I can heal you? Or if it was Lucio saying like group up on me for healing and things like that. And so we're looking into a lot of feedback like that. We're also
that's going to be tough.
Like right now, you can use the ping system when you're dead, and you probably ought not to be able to do that. So it's been like a really, really like great addition to the game. We've gotten great feedback on it. I'm super excited for it.
I'll just add too, like I think on the ping system, the conversation we just had about Doomfist, like a lot of these things obviously are a lot easier to show players versus us sitting here talking to all of you. I think just to address that sort of head on, we're a week into our alpha. This morning we significantly updated the balance for Orisa and for Doomfist and for a lot of these things. And so what we plan to do is, as we get a little bit closer to our April beta, we do plan to come back and say, hey, here's all of Doomfist's new kit. These are his new abilities. This is how much damage these things do. The leap does these types of things, and we will show that. The same is true on something like a ping system, where just more descriptive, and more just visual. What does this look like? Like we know that people most want to see that. It's a little bit of we're making significant changes through the alpha on these things, and we want to make sure that when we come out and we talk about the Orisa rework, it's explaining she has a javelin now as an aside, right? Like we just changed a lot of how that worked this morning in response to feedback. We want to make sure that we have probably one more crack at updating some of these really significant things before we come out with here's how all of that works.
John Spector is awesome, by the way.
So you gotta
he is really, really great.
Patience. See, chat ain't usually that good about it. I know you all are just dying to see content and features and like all the great things coming our way, but you have to wait a little longer for that. Now, the more we chat, of course, the more excited I get about watching, the first few official OWL matches and playing all that new content with my friends. Now, while I do love an air of mystery, and I still laugh about a good old Suntia meme, is there actually a specific date set for when the beta will officially hit the general public who have signed up for it?
April 26th. That's our plan.
All right, there we go, boys. April 26th. Mark the fucking calendar.
You answered the question.
No one's ever asked this before. People just have to ask.
I don't know what you're talking about, Chad. I don't know what you're saying.
Right,
you guys are weird.
April 26th, then mark your calendars. And on this exciting announcement, I think
Johnny, shut up.
To wrap things up here. Aaron, I would like to hand it over to you for some last words to our community.
Yeah, sure. This has been like a really exciting time, and I think what the team is like really looking forward to isn't just the alpha, but like the rest of what's coming. Like this is going to be such an exciting time for our community, for our players, for the team. We're so excited for it. We can't wait to bring you along for the journey. We can't wait to get in front of you more, talk about the game more, talk about some of the things that are coming and
I have a lot of things to say about this, by the way.
Feedback and changes that we're doing. So thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. We can't wait to see you and play with you in the future.
Okay, so listen, let's talk real quick. All right? Couple things to break down. And first of all, to everyone being upset that there was no gameplay, you can't be mad at them for no communication and then have them communicate and be mad it's not what you want. Like, that's not fair, right? I think this is a very good thing because usually we wouldn't hear anything at all, right? And then out of nowhere, there'd be something. And that's just not what we want to do, right? That's just not what we want to do. So first of all, I want to say big shout out and props to the leadership team to coming out and talking, knowing they're not showing gameplay, just to communicate to you guys what their schedule's looking like. You got to tip the hat there, guys. That deserves credit. It might not be what you wanted to see today, but now you have a tentative date for the beta, so you can mark your calendars. You wouldn't have gotten that before. You have a little bit of an insight as to how the alpha is going in terms of balance. Hypermobility is very good, kind of like I talked about. And you know, I was suspecting that, you know, hypermobility be very good because there's one less tank to peel, right? And they said the supports might be struggling due to the hypermobility, and you know, maybe probably the ult charge rates would need to get tweaked, whatever it may be. Like just thinking about how you'd remove a hero from the game, especially a tank, and how it would affect the game drastically changes the meta, kind of like I said. We heard a little bit about Tank Fist and that Doomfist players that were testing it in the alpha generally liked it, right? And you know, that's a good sign, right? That's a very, very good sign. You saw a lot of communication from the balance team and Jeff Goodman and the hero design team, something that we never really got. That was impressive to me. I think that's very good to see that. So, you know, we unfortunately the beta will not be on consoles. That's not Blizzard's fault. That's Sony and Microsoft's fault due to their policies and on how you can actually push updates. It's very weird. I forget about what it is, but that's not Blizzard's fault. That's more so Sony and Microsoft. So that's on them. You know, okay, so I will say I think the talks about October 2020 was a little disappointing to hear. Like, even us as a community have kind of let that ship sail, and like it's the means that are important, and high level play is clearly suffered. Also, we heard that, kind of as I called yet again, that in 5v5, like the main tank still wouldn't be good because there's not the fundamental change. Like the off tank role, it just has more potential when it's dueling things to do more. And so, you know, they kind of talked about how Ryan was struggling or something like that. I'm not sure the details. But you know, I think it's safe to say a lot of things the community predicted actually were kind of coming to fruition. I think that's very interesting, and it's very good to see them give this insight, which means they're willing to change. And I have to give them credit. They've acknowledged the problems, they've acknowledged a lot of letdowns, and they are making a very active effort to fix it. And that is definitely very commendable. My outlook for Overwatch 2 is now incredibly positive. You know, I would say that I might be their harshest critic. You guys know me. I hold the bar to the top. I think, you know, I really like what I'm seeing from them. And like I said in the past when I was talking about their developer update from last year about this time, where I kind of said, look, like, you know, it starts from the thought process. It's like the substance doesn't matter. You have to be able to think and approach your business and your product the proper way. And what we're seeing from them now is that proper approach. So they actually have laid a solid foundation to grow the product and grow the IP. And that's incredibly healthy. And it's very, very good to see them doing this, especially given how a lot of the feedback appears to be coming to the developers. Right? So that is very important to think about, right? Do you guys understand? And that's what I want you to take home, right? So I think you should keep your eyes peeled. It's very good to see this communication. You deserve an Oscar? Shut up, bro. Fuck off. All right, come on. Guys, I don't bullshit anybody ever. You know this. Like, I told you guys, like, I always keep things a buck. Even straight up to Kaplan.
Greetings.
Right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit anybody because that's not how you become great. And I think that Blizzard has realized that for Overwatch and has they've clearly made the effort here to work with you guys. Right? So, yes, I think this was very good to see. The communication is great. We've got a timeline. We're getting content. And according to Jeff Goodman, for at least the people in my stream who were worried about Tank Fist, I was worried about Tank Fist. I was worried about a lot of the reworks because it was concerning. Our concern was that potentially they would adhere to the design model of what a lot of the newer DLC heroes have in terms of like an easier game. But from the sounds of what Jeff Goodman has said, not only based on player feedback, but on Internal's Blizzard side, that is not the case, in which case we should be a lot more optimistic, right? That's what the logic follows, which is a very good sign. So we've got a month into the beta. We've got a month into the beta. Chat, shut up. Jesus fucking Christ, guys. Cut me some damn slack here. I'm trying to analyze all this, all right? So listen, I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised. I'm seeing them do all the right things here. It makes me happy to see that. And I gotta commend them. It's very nice to be able to say nice things about this team. You know, they've got too much talent on this team for the outlook to be incredibly negative. You know, it's just what's happened the last few years. You know, even since really 2019, surely has been a shame. But there's too much talent on that team, and you gotta give credit to Jeff Goodman for stepping up, being transparent, having the courage to go out there. I respect the hell out of that, and I think that he deserves that credibility. So big shout out to him. Big shout out to Aaron Keller for stepping up. John Spector is always great as well. This new leadership team and their new approach has been phenomenal, and I'm very excited to see what's coming next. So I think you guys should buckle down and just let's fucking go, baby. That's all I gotta say. Let's fucking go, baby. That's all I gotta say.
I need healing.
That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Paid actor. The only actor paying me is your mom, kid. What the fuck? I gotta get off. Say nothing if you have alpha. I don't have alpha. I have sigma energy. Just ask your mother, kid. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys, for coming. I will see your moms on the court tonight. Cross them up, break their ankles a little bit, just like you. Runs in the gene pool. What can I say? I do have to hop. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch y'all later. Much love, everybody. Peace out.